Good evening, everyone. I, on behalf of Press Information Bureau, welcome Honorable Finance Minister Shrimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji, Minister of State for Finance Shri Pankaj Chaudhary ji, Revenue Secretary Sanjay Malhotra ji, Chairman CBC, Member Tax Policy and Member GST at today's media briefing on the outcomes of the 49th GST Council meeting, which just concluded now. I format of the briefing would be first Honorable Finance Minister will give her brief, followed by there will be the question and answer. So please raise your hand. I will give the chance to everyone. Thank you, ma'am. Please over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, and thanks in specific to all the media persons who have come here physically, inclusive of all those who deal with the camera and the photojournalists, particularly because today is Mahashivratri. But it's quite encouraging to see that you have chosen to come here to cover this event. We've had a very detailed day-long GST meeting. The atmosphere was entirely cordial, and there was a sense of working together. And I'm glad to say that as a result, two GOM's reports have been accepted, one slightly with modifications, and also with an understanding that we'll have one or two small amendments to be done in the language with which it will be brought into the bill. But equally important is the fact that we've announced today that the entire due on the pending balance of the GST compensation will be cleared as of today. All dues, that is, because I'll just take you back for a minute. As of May 31st, we had cleared all the dues. There was something left in the name of dues for June. Even that is getting cleared. In other words, the entire pending balance of the GST compensation, which is to a total of 16,982 crores for June, that is, will be cleared. And although this amount is not really available in the compensation fund as of today, we have decided to release this amount from our own resources, and this same amount will be recouped from the future compensation cess collection. So the amount is not with us, but we are still giving it with our own resources. And the total which is being given out is 16,982 crores. With this release, therefore, the center would clear the entire provisionally admissible compensation cess dues for 5 years as envisaged in the GST Compensation to States Act 2017. In addition, of course, center would also clear the admissible final GST compensation to those states who have provided the revenue figures as certified by the audit accountant general of the states, and that amounts to 16,524 crores. 16,524 crores. So there is, when we send the via WhatsApp or whatever the message as regards today's press release, by state, how much compensation is being released today will also be there for you to see it. For instance, Karnataka would get 1934, 1,934. Maharashtra will get 2,102. Tamil Nadu will get 1,201, and Uttar Pradesh will get 1,215. Andhra Pradesh will get 689. Delhi will get 1,212, and so on. The list will be sent to you all. Now, from among the decisions which today we have taken, uh, first of all, related to the GST rates, the item on RAB, which is a kind of liquid jaggery, which is so typical to Uttar Pradesh and some other jaggery producing states. It goes by the name Rab. So we are reducing the GST rate on Rab, which is liquid jaggery, from 18 to nil or 5%. Nil if it is loose, or if it is pre-packaged and labeled, it will be 5%. Loose, nil. If it is pre-packaged and labeled, it will be 5% rate. Then there's been quite a lot of discussion on pencil sharpeners, GST on pencil sharpeners, because we wanted to rationalize it, has come down now, today's decision, from 18 to 12%. Uh, Also, there is a reduction in GST on tags, tracking devices, or data loggers, which are affixed on durable containers, from 18% to nil, subject to some conditions. Again, exemption on coal rejects when they are supplied to and by a coal washery. Even that decision has been taken today. Similarly, there are GST exemption for services by the National Testing Agency, NTA, by way of conduct of entrance examinations for admission to educational institutions. Even that decision has been taken today. There's been a decision also to take to tax services supplied by courts and tribunals under the reverse charge mechanism. There were a few other decisions which were being taken on law and procedure related matters. Uh, Secretary will expand when you ask about it later on. Otherwise, the details will reach you. Um, there is a decision today taken on the rationalization of late fee for annual returns. This, this is registered persons having an aggregate turnover of up to 5 crores in the said financial years, 25 rupees per day, subject to a maximum amount of which will be calculated at the rate of 0.02% of his turnover. So what this is actually mean, that the council has recommended to rationalize late fee for delayed filing of annual returns, particularly the form GSTR 9 for the year 22-23 onwards. The amount, we have actually reduced the amount of such late fee for smaller taxpayers who have an annual turnover of up to 20 crores. Then, in the same category, registered persons having an aggregate turnover of more than 5 crores and up to 20 crores in that said financial year, the same thing applies, 50 rupees per day, subject to a maximum of an amount calculated at 0.02% of the turnover. So that is one thing for late fee rationalization that has been taken. There's also amnesty which has been provided in respect of pending returns for GSTR 4 and also GSTR 9, and again for GSTR 10. That will also be explained. Uh, there are two GOMs about which I will elaborate. One is the GOM on capacity-based taxation and special composition scheme in certain sectors on GST. That is mostly relating to the pan masala, gutka, chewing tobacco, and so on. So the GOM's recommendation has been taken on board. The other GOM was on the tribunal, establishment of tribunal. Even that has been agreed to, with slight modification in the language with which we'll be taking it up. That language will be circulated to the members uh, tomorrow, and we shall give them a full 5-6 days to come up with the comments. post which a final draft will be readied. Even that will be checked up for language with the members. So actually, in a way, it does two rounds. One round immediately tomorrow for those specific paragraphs where some words had to be changed. And the second is after the inputs have come, we prepare one final draft and we circulate that again. And the chairperson of the GST Council has been authorized to pull it all together and finalize it, because there's not enough time for us to meet again before the finance bill. The chairperson is authorized, and then with changes put in, for those language changes put in, it can be taken up in the finance bill itself. So largely these are the issues. Specific details on your questions we can elaborate.
Thank you, ma'am. Uh, Siddharth, 86.
Ma'am, on the compensation side, you mentioned two numbers. One was 16,982 crore, and the other one was on this AG certification of 16,524 crore. I think that was the number. So if you could help us understand that. And ma'am, in Parliament, you had mentioned two states, West Bengal and Kerala, which have not, shared the AG report. So how many states are there in all, and what is their claim? If you could help us understand that. And ma'am, sorry, one more thing. You said that it will be released. So I suppose that the money will be released from the Consolidated Fund of India at the moment, and then you will recoup that amount.
So first of all, AG certificate authorization is required for the clearance or the payment of the money. But awaiting the AG certificate, it doesn't mean, and this applies from 2017, 18, 19, 20, I'm saying, waiting for the AG's authorization certificate, it doesn't mean that we don't release anything at all. Nearly 90% of the compensation as a provisional amount is released to the states, and only 5 to 10%, not even 10%, 5 to 8% is retained, subject to the AG certificate reaching us. So when people speak about, oh, you have not paid them because AG certificate has not been given, please understand that nearly 90% of their compensation which has to go to them gets released as a provisional amount. So they are not sitting with nothing at all being sent. Post that, when the authorization comes, it is reconciled and the rest gets released. So that is one thing about the AG certificate. Second, as regards states which have not sent the AG certificate, I can read out a list which is as of, let's say, the last day of the parliament session, before the recess wala session. Andhra Pradesh has given it for 1 year. They have not given 18-19 to 21-22. They have not given. Arunachal also has to give for all the years. Assam has given it for up to 2021, but they have to give for 21-22. So what I would do, instead of me reading it all down here, I'll send you the table, which is here with me. It'll show as to who's got the authorized AG certificate given and for which year, and who's not sent at all. All that will be clearly seen. Yes.
So the two numbers are, see, for June 2022, the provisional amount, 50% of that was released earlier based on the availability of funds expected till 31st March 2023. That amount was about 34,000. 50% of it was released earlier. 50% now we are releasing an amount equal to 16,982 crore rupees amongst 23 states. There's the remaining 50%, I again clarify. And this will be from the funds from the central government. And then it will be later on recouped as and when the amount is received in the compensation fund next year. Then, as Honorable Finance Minister has mentioned, once the AG certified figures are available to us, then the difference, the remaining amount is released. So we are releasing an amount of 16,524 crore rupees.
That is in addition to the first 16,982.
And this is going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 states. Delhi is about 2,400 crore, Karnataka is about 7,800, Odisha is about 834 crore, Tamil Nadu is about 4,200 crore, Telangana is 1,265 crore, Puducherry is 42 lakh rupees. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 states. That's right.
But the 16,524 will go only to those 6 states which have given us the AG certificate. The rest of it is for every state. But they will also, for the leftover amount, have to send the AG certificate. Till today, whatever AG certificate is with us are only for 6 states, for whom we are releasing 16,524.
Timsi.
Ma'am, Timsi Jaipuria from CNBC TV 18. The proposal on reducing rates on millet-based health products was also on the agenda. What happened to that? And secondly, there was a discussion in the last GST Council meeting that there will be a reconsideration on the rates for MUVs, whether it should be at par with SUVs or not. Was that taken up? Was that discussed? Where are we? And thirdly, you recently promised industry to consider rates again through Fitment Committee on cement. What is the idea there? Where are we? Is it still to be discussed with the Fitment Committee? Where are we? Please.
Yes,
clarify.
cement has not come to the Fitment Committee yet. Then on the millet related, it was discussed to an extent, but nothing was arrived at because the percentage of millet in the mixed food, ready food that is being discussed about, whether it should be 70%, whether it should be 50% of millet and other things are rest of it. There was some discussion, but nothing was arrived at. We agreed to look at it again. So nothing was discussed on it. On the SUVs, I don't think much progress.
Again, on SUV and MUV, the officers committee, which we have the fitment committee, was not able to actually, because time was short. So they have not been able to arrive at any decision. And so there was no recommendation of the fitment committee also for this particular GST council. It will be relooked, it will be looked, and then, it will be presented in the next council meeting.
Next, Shashir.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, since the GMO appellate tribunal, with slight modification in the language that has been accepted, so what are those changes in terms of what the GUM recommended and what are the changes which the states have suggested? Can you share some? And what is the timeline for setting up this appellate tribunal?
In specific, I'll have Sanjay go into the details. The timeline is because now that this GST Council has agreed, and only those some paragraph language lines will have to be circulated with the states, which we'll do. I expect for the first version of the draft 3 or 4 paragraphs in which the language change is being made, we will send it by tomorrow and give the states 1 week within which they can come back for the draft first version. Post that, again within a matter of 2 days, we want to send it to the states to finalize the draft, which means before the 1st of March, it should be all done and over. And since the council has authorized the chairperson to conclude based on the inputs which are coming, it should be over and done with by at least the 3rd of March, so that we will be comfortably placed to take it through the finance bill this time. And the details. Let the bill get passed now.
Insofar as the tribunals are concerned, the tribunal is concerned, there was the GUM report had recommended, the GUM had recommended that there should be one tribunal with a principal bench and as many other benches to be located in the states. So that has been agreed. So there will be one tribunal with a principal bench. Small change was suggested regarding the naming of the benches to be renamed as state benches. So this was the major recommendation. The other thing is related to the constitution. The GUM had recommended one technical member, 50-50 basis, one from 50% from the state and 50% from the center, plus one judicial member. So there was a discussion and the modification suggested is that we can have 2+2. However, the decision making will be only with at most 1+1 or less than 1. So all the 4 will not sit. So this will allow both center and state to have a representative on the technical side and the equal representation for the judicial member. So these were the primary main recommendations, both of which with small modifications as mentioned, which have been accepted. Yeah, so it's only, with regard to the selection and search regarding the state technical member. How we do that drafting will have to be done. As of now, there is some as recommended by the GUM, some representation was given in the form of the chief secretary of the state concerned, where the bench is to be constituted. It was agreed that there should be more representation, and all the members of the search cum selection committee should be from the state, including the judiciary from the state. So that's another modification.
Anchal.
Anchal from Indian Express. Follow-up question to that, only on the tribunal. So there were concerns by some states about having tribunal per state, per region, and now that one bench has been announced with state representation. But what were the discussions and concerns regarding states when they mentioned that there should be a bench in every region and tribunal in every region? So why is that not possible? Why could not that be finalized?
Actually, the chair of the GUM, the Deputy Chief Minister of Haryana, had explained what is the advantage of having one tribunal with a primary bench being in Delhi and the states having the benches of this tribunal, and also making sure, after discussion we did come to the point of the states having their member, the technical member, also come in. States representation through the chief secretary, who will be in the selection committee, will be adequately taken care of. Not only the chief secretary, but also one other, either additional secretary or a secretary from the state, would also be part of the selection committee of appointing in the state benches. The state benches selection, of course, will be with the Chief Justice of the High Court there, with the Chief Secretary and also the additional secretary who will be present, additional secretary or a secretary as the state would want. That is one thing. And second, the state will also be given the choice to set up benches in different parts of the state, depending on the population or depending on the total business which is being done, or in states like Northeast, where one bench would be sufficient for 2 or 3 states, or sometimes one bench is sufficient, but one bench further additionally to be for the sake of very far-flung areas. That decision will be left to the states and the group of states for the Northeast. And for states which want to have in some regions which are heavily business or industries activities are more, they can have also additional bench. So the decision of the number of state level benches of the tribunal will be left to the states. And of course, finally, the council will have to approve it. They may recommend saying we want these, and this is the total number we need because of either density of the business or because of the far-flung area or any justification. The council will approve it. And therefore, the setting up of the tribunal in the state, the representation in these tribunals are all left to the states through this method. So therefore, the chairperson of the tribunal, GOM, said no interest of the state will suffer, both in reference to the representation and also in reference to the number of benches that they would want and the location of such benches within the state. And I think, therefore, with his, the discussions were a lot more interactive. For every issue raised, the chairman, who with his team had gone through in great detail, kept uh, replying or clarifying, and therefore there was a good, uh, materially rich discussion which happened. And this is where the decision has been taken that there will be a central primary tribunal, and every state would decide on the number of tribunals, whose representation, and so on, subject to the council approving it all.
Prakash. Hello.
आलोक प्रियदर्शी फ्रॉम सीएनबीसी आवाज। मैम, आपने कहा कि जीओएम ने जो कैपेसिटी बेस्ड टैक्सेशन लगाने का फैसला पान मसाला गुटखा वगैरह पे किया है, इसके पीछे वजह क्या थी, और इसके अलावा जीओएम ने क्या सिफारिशें इसमें की है इस टैक्सेशन सिस्टम के बदलाव को लेकर?
Basically, the GM was set up to look into ways of different taxation based on capacity, as has been mentioned, because it was felt that there is a lot of tax evasion. So that is the primary reason for looking at different ways. So one of the methods that they have suggested, they have given a number of suggestions. One is to do more tracking. So they have seen the experience in alcohol, that with tracking and tracing, they are able to increase revenue manifold. So they are suggesting that we can attempt the same even for tobacco and tobacco products. Then another suggestion that came up is relating to the methodology for imposition of composition cess, which at present is ad valorem, to be changed to a specific levy. The third is related to exports, to be for such capacities to be allowed only against LUT with a consequential refund mechanism. So these are broadly the suggestions. They have not recommended levy of tax on the basis of the capacity of a unit or factory, because that was not thought to be practical.
Monica.
Ma'am, I'm Monica from the New Indian Express. Ma'am, once these tribunals get functional, how many cases are likely to be admitted in them, as many taxpayers, they have been eagerly waiting for these tribunals? And also, if you could explain in detail about the decision on GST amnesty scheme.
It's difficult to pinpoint an exact number, because what has happened is that in many cases, where the assessee or the taxpayer has felt aggrieved by an order either given by a lower authority, they've already filed writ petitions in court. So they've invoked the writ remedy and gone to High Court in their jurisdiction to resolve the dispute. So what will happen? So as of now, it's difficult to predict what will be the exact number of cases that will go to the tribunal, but as and when they're set up, it will be a very big relief, because anecdotally we are told that taxpayers are unable to resolve these disputes effectively as of now in the absence of tribunals.
The amnesty, the late fees has been basically reduced. Exact details we'll give you on 3 forms, that is GSTR form, form number 4, 9 and 10. One is related to composition dealers, another is an annual return. So the late fees, wherever they were unable to file the returns in time, such relief earlier was given for the GSTR 1 and 3, which are monthly returns. Now similar relief is to be provided for these three returns. Exact details we can share with you separately.
Meghna.
Ma'am, Meghna Mittal from Money Control. There was this GM report on online gaming that has already been submitted to the council. Was it discussed today or has it been deferred for the next council meeting?
Couldn't take it up today because the chair of that GOM is in Meghalaya, and because of the elections, he's unable to come. So it wouldn't be right for us to have taken it today. So we didn't take it up.
Prakash. Okay. And then next, Girish.
Ma'am Girish, my question is again on the GOM on online gaming casinos and horse racing. Ma'am, since that the group of ministers have probably not been able to arrive at a consensus, what's the option before the council? Will taxes be continued to be collected based on judicial pronouncements as they exist today, or will the council pursue reaching a new, taxation regime through policy making?
Obviously, see, till the time we change, make any modifications, we'll have to go by whatever is the law of the land. So whatever are the provisions, we'll continue to apply those provisions, which are basically, to apply on an aggregate basis. So we'll continue to do that.
Tarun.
Tarun from Z Business. Ma'am, you mentioned about law and tax matter has been discussed in this meeting. Ma'am, can you please give clarity on that? Secondly, ma'am, service charge on courts, you mentioned in the meeting, ma'am. What is that?
So reverse charge on certain activities by courts and tribunals is what was mentioned. There was a query from one of the courts asking us to clarify whether commercial services that the registries of these courts provide, such as renting of some premises, will it attract GST on reverse charge basis or not? So this is not a new levy that has been imposed. The council has considered the matter and just clarified that just as the tax is applicable to governments, state government, central government, even local bodies on reverse charge basis on renting services, the same provision is applicable also to registries of courts or tribunals.
Basically, I think the reference you are making to is the law committee and the fitment committee. So the tax matters are the fitment committee matters. The FM already mentioned, what are the changes on pencil, sharpener, rub, coal rejects, etc. And the law are the measures that were mentioned. So it's basically these two committee matters.
Next, Nikunj.
Hi, Nikunj from Reuters. So you said that the GOM's report on pan masala that has been accepted, and they suggested a specific levy again for compensation cess as against ad valorem rate that was being imposed now. So what would be that specific rate now? Has that been decided? And one more question on the appellate tribunals. Will there be any threshold for uh, uh, approaching the state level appellate tribunal or the national level appellate tribunal, or any cases anyone can move those?
So there is no limit. We have not specified in the act, there is no limit for appeal. However, as you are aware, even in income tax and customs, etc., we have our own internal limits for ourselves for appealing. So those can still be provided administratively, but legally there is no limit either for the department, for the government, or for the states. And what was your first question? Specific levy, we will decide. That's only a recommendation has been come in or has come in. We will now consider all these recommendations and then we will take them forward.
Next, Surbi.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. This is Surbi from the Financial Express. Ma'am, has any date been decided for the next GST Council meeting?
Shirimi.
Yeah, Shrimi here from Business Standard. Ma'am, two clarity. One, you said that in technical members, the suggestion was made to make it 2+2.
So decision being made, or we will see any modification on that front? Second, on the, ma'am, this specific levy which you're talking about, so when could we see that recommendation to be implemented and to convert into a framework?
Yeah, so see, as mentioned, the tribunal will have principal bench and state benches. So each bench will comprise now of 2 judicial members and 2 technical members, 1 state and 1 center. I hope that clarifies. Regarding the time, we will have to examine it on the specific duty for the tobacco and tobacco products. That will have to be studied, and we'll try to expedite it as soon as possible, examine the possibilities thereof, and then take a decision.
Rajiv, 69.
मैम राजीव हूँ दैनिक जागरण से। मैडम मेरा सवाल है कि 6 राज्यों ने ही एजी सर्टिफिकेशन दिया, तो बाकी राज्यों को कोई टाइमलाइन दिया गया है कि वो इस टाइमलाइन पे एजी सर्टिफिकेशन दे दे, या फिर और उनका कितना बनता है? जैसे ये 6 राज्य हैं जिनका 16,524 करोड़ आप देंगी, तो बाकी जो राज्य हैं उनका क्या टाइमलाइन दिया गया है और बाकी उनका कितना बनता है? और दूसरा सवाल, जो एनटीए एग्जाम को लेकर जो जीएसटी में राहत दी गई है वो क्या है उसका?
टाइमलाइन कुछ नहीं है, जबकि 90% ऑफ द अमाउंट ऑलरेडी रिलीज्ड है हर साल का। सो बचा हुआ पैसा के लिए उनसे जितना जल्दी आए तो उतना उनका अच्छा है। सो मैंने रिक्वेस्ट की काउंसिल में कि नाउ दैट सब कुछ क्लियर हो गया है हमारी तरफ से, जो एजी सर्टिफिकेट के साथ आने वाले जो अमाउंट है उसको जल्दी भेजें।
प्रकाश,
As regards the NTA, basically see, अभी जो है हमने प्रावधान ये है कि अगर कोई स्कूल या कॉलेज या यूनिवर्सिटी, गवर्नमेंट या प्राइवेट, यदि वो कोई इम्तिहान कंडक्ट करती है और उसके लिए एंट्रेंस फीस, इम्तिहान की एग्जामिनेशन फीस लेती है, तो उसके ऊपर में कोई भी जीएसटी नहीं है। अब हमने ये कहा है कि इसी प्रकार से अगर एनटीए स्वयं के लिए एडमिट नहीं करती है, क्योंकि उसका खुद का कोई इंस्टीट्यूशन नहीं है, एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन नहीं है, लेकिन वो अन्य इंस्टीट्यूशंस के लिए करती है, एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस के लिए, तो एनटीए या उसी प्रकार की सिमिलर स्टेट टेस्टिंग एजेंसीज यदि कोई हैं, तो वो भी यदि एग्जामिनेशन फीस ले रही हैं तो उसके ऊपर में जीएसटी नहीं लगेगा। ये इसका क्लैरिफिकेशन, स्पष्टीकरण किया गया है। दूसरी चीज ये भी मैं स्पष्ट करना चाहूंगा, आई लाइक टू क्लैरिफाई, व्हेन आई मेंशन 2+2, the hearing however will be only by 1+1 or one single member. The hearing will be restricted to only single member, or at the most a double member board, or whatever you may say it, because bench we are saying will be a 4-member bench, but the 4-member bench will not sit. If the value of the case is very small, right now it is proposed to be say 50 lakh, then it will only be a single member, and if it is more, then it will be 1 judicial and 1 technical member, either of the state or of the center.
Prakash.
My name is Prakash Pradarshi from ET Now. Ma'am, GOM report on red rationalization is still pending, and the committee has held several meetings. So any update by when this report will be submitted?
It will get completed. When it gets completed, we'll immediately look at the report. It has not been submitted as yet.
40 number on the top.
Madam, sirs, for one clarity, I am Prakashan Pudiyati, Madhubhumi, Kerala. After the GST meet, our finance minister, Mr. Balagopalan, has said that the center would release the last installment of GST, 750 crore within 1 week. Whether he has given the this AG certificate for that, or otherwise, if he is not giving that within that time frame, how could you transfer that money?
There's no time frame for submitting AG certificate. That is why from 2017 onwards, we are still waiting for some of them. So whenever they'll submit the AG certificate, we'll have to give the money. But yes, today we have released everything that we can, and we have completed the process from our side. For any pending amount, they'll have to send. He did speak to me, saying, please send it at the earliest, we'll entertain, is what I've told them also.
Ma'am, Janani from BQ Prime. Ma'am, could you please help clarify the GST compensation that was given, 16,900 odd figure? Which year does this pertain to? And if you could just understand which.
Two is for the rest of the amount of June, whereas the 16,524 is based on the AG certificates that we've received from those 6 states for which we've released.
So this is June from the for the 5 years, still up till now, June?
No, June when the GST compensation ended.
Okay, thank you.
Right? That 1 month. We had earlier released some amount. Now we are releasing the total of June. No. June up to 31st May we had given. June some money had to be given. That is what is being given. This is the last month for which there would be a compensation cess, for which compensation is paid. That's the payment for June 2022. We've closed now. Everything to do with the compensation is over and done. But even as I say that, some states have some AG certification related issue on which, as and when they give the money, AG certificate, we'll keep clearing the amount. That amount varies by state. Some state would have given it for the AG certificate for 17. So for 17, they will not have any pending. Some would have given it for 18. Like that, each state, based on the number of years for which they've given AG certificate, there's no issue. It's all given. And for those states for whom some more AG certificate is pending, like for example, Kerala, for example, West Bengal, when the AG certificate comes, we'll release it. But as I said earlier, even for those years where the AG certificates have still not come, nearly 90% is already sent. The rest is being held back only because if the AG certificate comes, we need to reconcile it based on the certificate. So it's not as if AG certificate has not come. So for that full year, we have held back that huge amount and we are sitting. No. Every month, 90% of the compensation cess goes away to them. So when the AG certificate comes, it comes for the rest of the amount and the amount already given. We will reconcile and the rest 10% or 5% will be released.
Okay.
%18%.